Well, hello everybody, and welcome to day 10 of The Longing. I've got a very special guest with me here today, and we forgot to say if we want to use real names.
I don't mind as long as it's not my last name too.
Sure thing. Everyone already knows that my real name is Joshua Roseman.
Makes sense.
And here with me today, I have the very famous, the very well-loved Marcelo.
Yep.
It's great to have you here with me today, Marcelo. I've been waiting for this moment.
You've been longing for it?
I have. I see what you did there. It has not been lost on me, your wit. The wit that has made you the person you are today.
Great.
So that we can focus on this conversation, I'm going to turn on an option that I saw before. I don't know how to get back to it. Let's see. There is a walk to a random place, so that I will just be walking while we talk. I will take a little stroll. Let's see where I end up. How should we start? How do we start? By the way, is the screen sharing over Discord working?
Yes, I can see what's happening.
Fantastic. I looked up on WikiHow how to conduct an interview, and I didn't do any of those things. I was supposed to have a topic. I was supposed to have a direction to take this interview in. I don't have any of those things.
Okay, we'll go to a random place, man.
Alright. How did you get to be in the position you are in today? How did you get so famous, Marcelo? What is your secret?
Well, my secret is that I'm not really famous, so it was actually pretty easy. I was born this way.
That's incredible.
I know, I didn't need to do much. I just kind of sat around and let it happen.
That really goes against most common knowledge of all of your fans. But you heard it here first. Marcelo's not actually famous.
Yeah, apparently. I mean, a lot of people think that's a good way to get famous, is to sit around and do nothing, but I know that it is not.
I'm pretty sure I'm not supposed to go up here. I'm pretty sure that I saw a thing pop up that said that if I go up here, the king will be mad at me, so I'm not going up here. Go somewhere else, guy. You gotta go different random place. Not this one. I like that the random walk could just lead you to end the game or something. I have no idea. Don't spoil it. Marcelo, being the cultured man of many talents that he is, has actually played into this game already. He's further than I am into this game by many days, as I understand it. And I would like, if possible, you keep no spoilers here. We want
that's fair.
A pure, unfiltered experience.
I will hold my tongue then.
Thank you. I appreciate your confidence in this time. So Marcelo, we've known each other for decades at this point. It's been forever, and I think you're the only person I know that I don't make direct contact with regularly, that I can still message you and you'll reply years later, which is very interesting to me. Most people, it's just over once you stop seeing a person regularly face to face. And this is the first time we've talked in years.
Not everybody has the object permanence that I do. I still remember what people look like. You know?
I very much appreciate that.
They can exist even when I turn my head away.
You'd be surprised how many people lack this. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Next
I agree.
question.
Okay.
What is your favorite color?
Wow, you've really thought a lot about this. Purple.
I have. Purple.
Yeah.
And next question. That is, do you know purple's my second favorite color, but this interview is not about me. I'm not gonna twist.
By the end of the interview, you won't even notice that you're the one being interviewed.
The mind games are strong. I just got done finished talking about some mind games in the last, not mind games, but mind related things in the last episode. I was talking about seizures, strokes, and migraines, and how each of them has this connection to the brain, and it's a very interesting thing. Those are the 2 episodes I've been happiest with so far. The last 2 I've done. Do you have any interest in the topics of brain science, things like that?
Always.
Yeah.
I like to know how things work, and the brain is pretty much the only mystery we have left.
You're exactly right. I couldn't agree more. There's so many interesting things going on in the brain. The nature of consciousness, is it a possibly unanswerable question?
Maybe by us.
Maybe by us.
Maybe we need something more sophisticated to figure us out, but can anything truly figure itself out?
Exactly. Because
it's a tough question.
There's an idea, I think, called Laplace's demon, or it might be a different demon. This idea that if you had a mind so strong that it could, if you had a sufficiently powerful mind that was the size of the universe, could it 100% predict the future and in the past and all sorts of things?
Oh, that delves into determinism.
It delves into determinism, and the idea that people ended up coming up with is no, because once the demon's brain thought of something, the second it thought of something, it would have to use energy to create that thought in its brain, and that energy would create, what's the word for chaos theory? Entropy. It would create entropy that would change the outcome of the universe, so the outcome that it believed in would always be different because of the entropy inside of its own brain. That it would
Does this demon exist inside the universe?
That is a good question. I do not know all the details of this particular thought experiment. I assume, yes, the demon exists within the universe.
That seems like a paradox, though. I get that the demon can't exist if it exists in the universe.
Yeah.
Because anything that it thinks of would automatically change the universe, because that's how thoughts work. And then, it would have to try to comprehend what it's thinking about in an infinite regression kind of downward.
Exactly.
It's very strange. But I am all for determinism. I don't think that does anything to disprove that.
I've been listening to a podcast by a quantum physicist named Sean Carroll, who is interviewing many different people from all sorts of fields, including philosophy and physics and basically anything you can think of. And some of the episodes I've been most entertained by, most interested in, have been episodes about determinism and free will and how that affects our experience as conscious beings. Really interesting stuff, and the basic idea that I'm getting out of all this is the experts don't agree at all, and they're all very intense about their beliefs on these things.
I think that's pretty much just philosophy in general. There wouldn't be philosophy if the experts agreed on anything.
Makes sense. The last question I gave you was, what was your favorite color?
Yes.
The next question I'll give you, you thought that wasn't that was too much of a low ball, or what is an easy question?
The softball.
Softball, not a low ball. I've hit you in the balls with a low ball.
Low balls are actually a lot harder to catch.
Low balls, huh?
Yeah.
I imagine if the pitcher threw a ball and it was so low that he just dropped the ball, it would be really hard to catch it if you were on the other side of the field.
You know what? You might be onto something there.
Guess I have arrived somewhere. I gotta turn on my... Is this even somewhere I've been before? I gotta see. Where have I ended up?
It's a good question.
Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe? What is your favorite song, Marcelo? Is it Cotton Eye Joe? Where does Cotton Eye Joe rank on your favorite songs? Oh, I've been here before. I don't want to go into the halls of eternity. Boring.
The place where the time doesn't pass?
Yes, I've already been there.
Oh my god, I want somebody to just go AFK in the game for 400 days in there without truly understanding what's happening, and then come back and see that nothing has changed.
Don't spoil my secondary series.
All right. What was the question again?
Where does
Oh, what's
Cotton
my
Eye Joe rank in your favorite songs list?
I mean, I've heard a lot of garbage, so I can't say it's like, I can't say it's too close to the end. It's middle. It's a very average in my book.
Something really fascinating is the idea of things being so bad that they're good. You know what I mean?
Oh, there's this one filmmaker, Neil Breen. Have you ever heard of him?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I have not
Yeah.
seen every Neil Breen, but I've seen some, and I know what you're talking about.
Oh my
Should
god,
we
dude.
explain for the viewers who don't know about Neil Breen in your words? How would you describe Neil Breen?
Basically, it's if you have well, he's an architect who makes films on the side. It's basically imagine the kind of film that you can make with an architect's salary, set in Nevada, always, and worse than you're imagining right now. And that's pretty much all of Neil Breen's movies. He uses a lot of stock footage, and he vaguely knows how to use a green screen. Um, and he gets probably the cheapest actors and actresses he can find. And the
Ooh, a
movies are
crystal.
just god awful.
Haven't been here before. The only Neil Breen thing that I can actually, I think I have been here before, and it told me I have to have a Matic. You notice they use the word Matic in this game. Have you ever heard that word before playing this game?
Um, I think so, but only in video games.
I
And
have
it's definitely
never
like
heard it.
it's never an American video game.
Do you know where this video game was made? Because I don't.
No,
Yeah,
someplace.
someplace indeed. Not America, I guess. Otherwise, they would have just said pickaxe like every other. Even Notch used pickaxe, or maybe that's because it was originally in Swedish and then he translated it to American.
I think a matic is like a pickaxe that can also act as a hoe.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure.
But with Neil Breen, the only line that immediately comes to mind that I can remember is, "I can't believe you committed suicide."
I can't believe you committed suicide. I cannot believe you committed suicide. Why would you commit suicide? He's just like leaning up against the car holding the guy that's just dead, and he's like, I can't get you out of this one.
I do have to. I gotta watch more of his stuff. I've only seen, I think, 2 of his films.
Oh boy, you really do not need to watch more of his stuff. Yeah, it's like a car wreck that you just can't look away from once you start, though.
Sometimes there's things that are so bad they're good. There's things that are so bad they stay bad and they're consistently bad, and you're just boring. You don't care, right? And
True.
sometimes there are things that are so bad but also so good at the same time, and you're just left really confused.
You're gonna have to give me an example of one of these things.
I was looking at some MS Paint art that someone did the other day. That
Alright.
seemed like it had a really scratchy, kind of ugly style, but at the same time somehow beautiful in its own special way. Like the person, it looked like really knew what they were doing, or maybe they even used a different tool and they knew that other tool so well they could make it look like paint.
Like a toddler drawing, but the toddler went to art school.
I don't know how to describe it actually, but maybe it's just I have terrible taste. I don't know. But another example is there's this song that I share with another friend of mine who's very into music, and myself, I feel like I barely know anything about music. And it is a song that I know about because the creator of Attack on Titan, in an interview or something, gave songs that he said that he would match to the characters in his series. And for one of the most depressed and complicated characters in the series, he gave this specific song that is just this screaming and whining, backed with good instrumentation, about suicide, and there's this line, something along the lines of, I went to the bookstore and bought Ways to Hang Yourself. And I just love that line because of how ridiculous it is.
The ridiculous theory that somebody made a book called Ways to Hang Yourself and somehow got the bookstore to accept it and sell it.
Well, that's the first part. Like, you think about that, how big could that book be? How deep do you go on Ways to Hang Yourself, right?
That's a good question. Honestly, I have no idea. I didn't think there were many different ways to do it.
And the secondary question here is, and then imagine that you go up to the counter and you put that on the counter. I'd like to buy this, please.
Well, I feel like they have to either assume that you're gonna go through with it, or if you look silly enough, they're just gonna be like, you're doing this for the memes. Yeah, go for it. Buy it.
But the way I sort of interpreted it when I listened to the song is, this is Japan we're talking about. So my thought process is, they probably get this every other day. And it's just not a real... They're just like, oh yeah, another college kid who failed his exams. Here you go. They're just numb to it, you know?
Probably.
You know what I'm talking
really
about?
sad.
Just the sense that how prevalent suicide is in Japan. I'm not saying that Japan is a disgusting hellhole. I'm saying that that's just the culture over there, it seems like.
Yeah, he said, yeah, the suicide rates are higher there because there's some really big expectations in school life.
Exactly.
It's an extremely stressful place to grow up.
Exactly. But I showed this to my friend who was really interested, like, much more interested in music and much more of a connoisseur of music than I am. And I think he hated it to start with, but then he kept listening to it. And he's told me it sort of haunts him, the fact that he doesn't know how much he's listening to it ironically versus how much he really enjoys the song. And it's a confusing place to be left.
Yeah, I mean, especially with a song like that.
Exactly.
Does it have at least a good melody or something?
I'll have
Or
to...
is it the lyrics that he finds himself engrossed by?
I think both, but also neither at the same time.
Wow. Huh. That reminds me of a How I Met Your Mother thing.
Where Ted, the main character, was explaining how karaoke in Japanese means empty orchestra.
I've heard that.
How that's like a hauntingly beautiful thing.
You know, maybe the song is just hauntingly beautiful.
I don't know if I'd go so far as to call it hauntingly beautiful. It's very loud, it's very screamy, emotional sort of thing.
Oh, so just like unpleasant.
Well, I don't know if I can say that either. It's complicated, it's hard to describe.
Okay.
I have been sort of sometimes getting into, I think some people have dubbed the genre Japanoise. This Japanese music that is just noise. Horrible noise.
Oh no. What an awesome name for it.
Japanoise.
Oh my god.
I think the first exposure I had to Japanoise was my favorite band, Ween. I think I've exposed you mildly to Ween when I would play Fancy Pants, the Ween song to you, and blare that, and you didn't have much reaction. You were very tired of my bullshit at the time, I think. But
yeah, I wonder why that was.
Yeah. Luckily, you're less tired since we've had years away.
Yeah. It's weird how that works sometimes.
But Ween is this really interesting band that spans through every genre pretty much. and they're kind of half-ass serious, but also heartfelt and joking and all sorts of things. They go through every emotion. It's all very drug-infused weirdness. And they did an album where they got together with a Japanoise band called the Boredoms. And the Boredoms, it was horrible. Let me tell you, it was not good.
The collaboration or the Boredoms in general?
I think probably the Boredoms. I mean, I probably should listen to more stuff, but it's mostly just, to me it sounded like, you know how bad, who's the Japanese person from the Beatles that was the girl that John Yoko Ono. You know how bad she sounds?
No, I've never heard her sing.
Okay. Well, there's points where there's famous stuff like Bill Burr, the comedian, talking about how she jumped into a song to just scream weird shrills, like into the microphone to get attention. And a lot of what the Boredom sounded like to me was that, but louder and worse and more chaotic. But Ween did a collaboration called, it was Hawaii something. I forget what. Hawaii something. If you just search Ween Hawaii, you'd find it. Or Ween Boredom collaboration. And I think my favorite song out of the album was The Meadow. The Meadow was this song that was this guy, one of the people in Ween singing like, in the meadow you will find it. It's the dingle and it's coming. And then you just hear for a long, hurt my voice.
Oh my god.
And I think it's like 8 minutes or something of this weird song, and it's my favorite on that album.
That reminds me, I should ask, what's the policy on cursing?
You should curse more, because have you heard about the COPPA thing with YouTube?
Yes, I have heard enough to where if they mark you as adult content, they won't do the advertisements to kids.
Yes, which is surprisingly a good thing, because if you're marked as child content, then you have more restrictions and more chance to get fucked over. That's the way I understand it. So the more you swear, the better. That's how I understand it. I'm never putting ads on this channel anyway.
Okay, I mean, fair.
So lots of fuck, we're adults. We're very mature here.
Yeah, sure, okay. It's a way to classify us.
In the eyes of the law.
Yeah, technically.
We are men.
fuck, shit, fuck.
Good job.
Thanks.
Oh look, you've made it to the background.
Indeed. I've been to this background many a time in the past.
It took me forever to figure out how to get back there. Cause I like randomly wandered back there, and I'm like, how the hell do I get back?
I was really interested when it worked like that. I thought that was cool that they have.
Yeah.
That. I wonder if it's a separate stage entirely, or if they just change your character size.
Oh, that's interesting. Who knows?
Who knows? The developers know, or maybe they forgot, so they don't. Nobody knows.
I don't think the developers even know what's happening in this game.
But after that, I got more interested. There's other forms. There's this band called Vampia, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it, that I enjoy, that is sort of Japanoise. I'll send you a sampling of some of these things later.
Okay. I look forward to the curated collection.
Exactly. Of Japanoise and Disappointed. Disappointed is the song that the Attack on Titan song that with the ways to hang yourself book.
Well, how was he disappointed? What was the story?
I think. Do you mean how is it disappointment in relation to Attack on Titan, or how is it disappointment in relation to the story that the song tells through its lyrics?
The story that the song tells through its lyrics.
That is a harder question to answer.
Okay.
There are references to assault, references to rape, suicide. It could be a number of things that this character is disappointed about.
Wow, heavy song.
Heavy song. Heavy song indeed. Let's see, what else? I need a heavy question for you because the last one was your color, I think. Something like that.
The last one was where Cotton Eye Joe ranked in my
oh yes.
list of songs.
Oh yes. Then I don't need a heavy question because that was heavy enough for one day.
Honestly, yeah, that was a really tough one to answer.
But I've always wanted to just be able to ask people really heavy questions. You know, have you ever just wanted to go up to someone on the street and just ask someone, what is the worst thing that ever happened to you and how do you cope? This is an indirect way of asking you that question while also giving you an out because I didn't directly ask you that question, so you don't have to actually answer it.
Yeah, but then you ruined the out by, explicitly saying what you were doing.
They won't notice. They're not paying any attention.
Okay. I legitimately don't know what is the worst thing that's happened to me. I'm like fairly open about everything. I just honestly don't know.
I would not be able to answer that question either on camera. I don't think most people would,
Well, I mean, I feel like the worst thing that's ever happened to people is a weird concept because you assume that for other people they're always thinking about it.
Sure.
But I mean, if they're well-adjusted people, in theory, it's not always on the mind, so they actually need to look for it when they're asked that kind of question.
Well, in addition to that, if they're not well-adjusted, they may have repressed it, and they might be angry at you for having asked a question that makes them remember something that they don't want to remember.
Yeah, or also they might always have it on the mind, even if it's not repressed, and have it constantly weighing down on their life. And you asking that question is just begging for something to go wrong.
Or, another possibility, they might have been waiting to be able to unload the thing from someone who is willing to listen, and it might be a good thing for them. There's no way of knowing. You'll never know.
There's a lot of things that could be the case.
That's the case with all things in the universe.
3 out of 4 of those result in the person not saying the thing. So I'm gonna go with that.
Fair enough. What is the best thing that ever happened to you, and how do you cope with that?
This one I also don't think too much about.
This
I
one
don't know.
I would have no idea how to what the fuck the best thing that's ever happened to me.
The best thing that's ever happened to me was me being born, because life is a gift.
That's an interesting question. So you're a pro-natalist? You believe
Oh
that...
my god.
You believe
don't use pro-natalist, it's pro-life, man.
So
you're just adding complex phrases there. You don't need complex phrases.
So Marcelo, to get it on the record, you're pro-life?
Wow. Put whatever you want on the record, man.
When did you decide you hated people who get abortions?
Apparently just now.
Fair enough.
So
In case you didn't know, for the most part, I think it's complicated, and this is not something that is so easily just, I am this way, and I know this, and I'm super confident. But for the most part, I am a bit of an anti-natalist. I lean that way. I believe for the most part, life overall causes suffering, and it might be better in some sense if all life were to just end, and that would be the ultimate peace for
all
the universe.
life?
Yes.
It will at some point with the heat death.
We don't know exactly. That's what certainly would think that, but whenever we've been hit a problem in the past, we've been able to figure out some sort of solution. So it's possible that we could find a solution to the heat death. Some people have.
But that just seems like the law of thermodynamics at work, where in a closed system you
What if it wasn't a closed system?
entropy.
What if we could
Go to a different universe.
go to a different universe or something?
And constantly just juggle universes.
Exactly, like Rick and Morty. Yeah, this universe. We gotta go to a different universe, Morty.
Yeah, but they're all parallel universes in that case, which would still all suffer from heat death, probably simultaneously.
That is a good point.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I don't know either.
Maybe the Big Bang will just compress again, the big crunch, and then we'll get another Big Bang, and it's just a constant cycle. So maybe there is no heat death.
Maybe.
You know?
But if we assume that life will eventually end, I don't know if that changes my thinking that it's possible that the end of all life sooner rather than later would be better. That is just me. It's hard to say. And as you can probably guess, I haven't started on my plan to eradicate all life in the universe, so I don't feel strongly enough about this topic to start as of yet.
That's fair. Eradicating all life in the universe seems like kind of a tough task. It may take an afternoon or two.
I think the best way of going about that would be to, well, it depends on if you want to eradicate all life in the universe or just all life on Earth. Because who am I to say? Well, you could extend this argument more, but first off, I'll say, who am I to say that other life might not be better somewhere else? But then you could just extend that argument and say, well, who's to say that you're just completely biased in your own life, and so you're extending your own experiences in life to say that other people's lives must be full of suffering, and so you're making the decision for other people that their life. But I forget where I was going with this. I don't remember.
You were talking about your plan to eradicate all life in the universe.
So
yes. I remember now. I think you're gonna need to have it a little bit more together if you want this plan to go through.
Oh look, I jumped down the little thing, cool.
Yeah, good luck getting back up.
Let's try. Climb up. No. I should have predicted this outcome. I always press escape first, thinking that escape opens this menu, but it does not. I have to click this button.
Just climb again?
I think it tried to climb again in order to fulfill this walk. Okay, now it's going this other way. There. So my plan to eradicate all life on the planet, we'll start with that. That's a little simpler.
Sure.
I deleted this part of the audio on my side because I didn't want the FBI to follow me forever.
I did not know about that, and thanks for reminding me.
I also edited out some other bits where I said some stuff that would be problematic if the FBI knew I said. Yeah, okay, bye.
In the US? Oh my god. um You know what? That's a good point. That's a good point. If this is being uploaded to YouTube, something you should consider is they will probably monitor you for purchasing submarine equipment now. So
That is a good point.
So they probably won't even let you get that far.
Maybe I shouldn't upload my plan to the internet. Nobody's watching this. They're just gonna have 5 views, whatever.
Automatic bots, though. Those subscribers are the government.
You've got a good point. There are that is theoretically something that could happen, that bots could be searching for keywords, but I would think that would be very difficult. But as
YouTube does need to actually transcribe the video in order to figure out what the rating should be for it. So it does automatically look through it already, like when you upload it. So
maybe I'll just cut out this bit about my plan to end the not end the universe, but end all life on the planet Earth. But I'm gonna talk to you about it anyway. So, then, have you heard about the time when the world almost ended because the Russians thought that, I think, a satellite or something, there was some sort of malfunction in something to do with the Russian monitoring for nuclear weapons, where they thought that there was a nuclear weapon coming towards Russia, and they were just about to send nuclear bombs back at America. And there was one guy who was like, I don't think it's real. And he's the one guy stopping it. Is the reason the world's not over today.
Could they like bail on it if they had launched it? Could they be like, wait, no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to
get a big net and catch it in midair?
Yeah, I've heard that they're working on building one of those in the atmosphere for that specific thing, just so it can drop down and scoop up some nukes. They call it the nuke scooper.
That's a good idea.
Patent pending.
Countries are trying to make their own nuke scooper, and we can't. They already took a patent out on it. We can't make our own.
Honestly, I think that in the future nukes aren't going to be that big a deal because we will have ways to actually prevent them from hitting land. We'll have more secure ways, because right now we do have a way to shoot down nukes before they get anywhere, but I don't think it's incredibly accurate, but it is somewhat accurate.
That's a very hopeful viewpoint. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm hoping that that's the case, because I don't want people to have to worry about these things. Also, people adapt to pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Like a few months ago, everybody was panicking, but now COVID is a pretty normal thing in everybody's lives, and they're able to handle it in a pretty decent way.
Yeah. Arguably, but yes.
Depends on people. You can't cure stupidity.
No,
right?
you can't.
Like some people will always be stupid.
Yeah.
But to some extent, the majority of people are actually doing well and being responsible.
Yes.
Just got the loud minority that's being
I
annoying.
appreciate your positivity.
Well, you gotta have a balance here, the yin and yang.
You absolutely do. Don't you have a tattoo of a yin yang symbol?
No, I don't. I have just a bunch of like doodles.
Well, never mind then.
Yeah, I actually might get one. That's
not a bad one.
It's a good one. Balance is an important thing in everybody's life.
I couldn't agree more, and there are definitely places where I could use more balance than I currently have.
Yeah,
I think that's true for most people.
Pretty much all problems are due to people's lives just being out of balance and not knowing how to figure it out.
Yeah. So as I'm talking this out, I realize I don't have a good idea outside of maybe a planet buster, which would be far outside of my lifetime to be able to create something like that on a
I think if we can create a planet buster, we're gonna have a lot of planets to have to bust.
Yeah. So I'm gonna correct what I said earlier. I don't think I have any plan to be able to logically actually be able to cease the end life on our planet.
Which is probably a good thing.
However, then we get into the universe, and with that you just need an AI, and pretty much any AI will do it. Doesn't matter if it. I don't know. Do you know much about artificial intelligence and the problems that are associated?
I actually am not super convinced that AI is a problem.
I used to feel that way. I used to feel I had so many ideas.
There are a lot of arguments for this. There's
exactly.
Like a lot of things on different sides. So what are you suggesting?
Oh, that pretty much all AI that you could create, especially in the early days of AI, will be whatever goal you give an AI, it doesn't matter, because there are certain things called, I forget the word, but there are tasks that are useful for every other possible task. For instance, pretty much anything you can think of is as a goal will be benefited by you being more intelligent. Because if you're more intelligent, you'll be better able to think of a plan to enact that goal. You follow me?
Well, what if your goal is happiness?
Wouldn't intelligence benefit you to be able to better understand what happiness is? And
Do you think that understanding what happiness is a way to make you happy? I don't think it is. I think it's completely separate. I think you're either happy or you're not, and understanding it doesn't really get you to where you need to be.
I think that is a completely valid point, and I have no rebuttal, because I think that is such a difficult question to answer. Is happiness something that can be understood, or is happiness something that is so disconnected from logic that understanding of happiness is irrelevant? That is an interesting question.
I mean, I know a lot of smart people that are very depressed and a lot of dumb people that are very happy.
I agree, but do you think that... Well, I don't know. I think that I don't see myself as having enough knowledge and being able to debate the side of the topic I would wish to debate, because it's so difficult, you know?
Yeah, I get it. But the AI, I do understand what you're saying. There are certain things that would benefit many tasks,
Yes.
fundamentally.
Yes. I do believe that there are probably tasks that you could devise that would not have these sort of outcomes, but I think that would be hard to figure out, and I certainly haven't figured those things out. But because of goals, like, for instance, if we take the intelligence one, that the AI wants to become more intelligent so that it can fulfill its goal, then it needs more computer space to be able to make its brain bigger, effectively. And to be able to do that, it's got to acquire resources and integrate those resources into itself. And then once it's smarter, it's going to know how to integrate more resources better. And so it'll want to become better again, and that will go on and on how do you even say that? Ad infinitum?
Ad infinitum?
Ad infinitum. Theoretically could continue ad infinitum. And it could become a gray goo and take over everything in the universe.
Yeah, gray goo is a scary concept.
For the people who don't know, the idea of gray goo is a self-replicating, non-biological thing that can turn things on a molecular level into copies of itself, and it would be unstoppable and would just slowly propagate by transforming everything in its path into copies of itself,
which would then further turn other stuff into itself.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is unstoppable.
Exactly.
In its theory, not that it necessarily exists.
Yeah, this exists somewhere, and we just...
I think there are some theories that at the heart of neutron stars, there's like a gray goo type substance called strange matter.
Ooh, yes, I've heard of this.
That's made of strange quarks, and that's what they think it might be. But also, scientists think a lot of things until they realize that the things that they've been thinking are wrong.
Exactly.
So I wouldn't.
But you could go the other way with that too. They predicted black holes before they had any direct evidence.
Those are smart scientists, though.
Yes, they were not us.
They weren't. I say scientists, but I mean like some people in the science community. I'm not saying any like big names are the people thinking of these things.
Sure.
Because I truly don't know. But this
don't either.
This has been like hypothesized by some people in the field.
Sure. And so if I understand it, the idea of the strange matter is some sort of matter that would work like gray goo because it would turn any other type of matter that was in contact with it in some sense into more strange matter. and this would propagate at some ridiculous speed throughout the universe if it wasn't contained in these stars. I assume is the theory on some close enough ballpark, maybe.
Well, yeah, because the way neutron stars work is they spin really, really fast. So with the strange matter at the heart of their core, they spin so fast that it actually kind of escapes, and you get like small particles of strange matter just thrown off into the universe.
So in theory, this could already be taking over the universe.
we
in
could
some
already
sectors.
have strange matter on our planet, and it might not do what people think it does.
Fair enough.
It could break down extremely quickly. Maybe it can only survive in extremely high gravity situations like neutron stars, for instance. You know?
I think I get what you're saying. I was gonna say I understand, but that felt like possibly going too far. Obviously,
I don't understand. I watched a video from this YouTube channel called Kurzgesagt.
I
where
think
they-
I
they
might
do
have seen
really
the same
nice-
video.
They do really nice animations, and they explain some scientific theories, which I think is pretty cool.
I think they may have
a lot of
talked
them are
also
like
about
doomsday stuff.
Yeah, I think in that video they may have talked about the vacuum state of the universe and how that would be a similar scenario possibly if there's something called the vacuum state of the universe, which I don't particularly obviously completely understand, but it's a constant associated with the universe, and if it were to, through quantum tunneling, if any part of the universe were to through some random chance tunnel into a different energy state or vacuum state, it would propagate through the universe at light speed and destroy everything.
I mean, propagating through the universe at light speed isn't that big a deal.
Fair enough. I don't know exactly. It depends if it happened a long time ago.
Yeah, I guess. It could have. Maybe it is a big deal. Maybe we're fast approaching our deadline.
And if it was propagating at light speed, we'd never know if it killed us, right?
Yeah, it would be instantaneous.
So there'd be no...
It could be at the
possibility.
sun right now, and it could just be 6 minutes away, we're gone.
Yeah. I think it's 8 minutes if it was at the sun.
Alright, well, you know what? Fine, maybe.
I know, actually, I guess it depends on the angle that it comes in at. Because what if, like, it depends on where the Earth is in its orbit around the sun.
I don't think it depends that much on where the Earth... It's a pretty circular orbit.
I think it does because we'd imagine that in three-dimensional space it would be this vacuum state would propagate as a three-dimensional sphere, probably. In layman's thought, I would assume that's how it would work, right?
I would agree, yeah.
Yeah, so it would go in every direction, and if it got to the sun, and it's possible it could get to us before the sun, right? If we're just on the right side of the sun.
Yeah, and I guess if the sun and us are equidistant from it, it could just hit us both at the same time.
Exactly.
That would be a hell of a circumstance. Like, wow. I don't know. Some of the science stuff gets pretty scary, though.
It certainly does.
It's a very... I don't know what the word is.
Existentially terrifying.
Existential dread. That's what it is. Yeah. That is correct. It's a lot of that.
Before we get too much farther, I want to make sure, how much time do you have?
Oh, I'm fine.
Oh, good. Well, good.
Yeah. I mean, we've been going for how long?
I don't know. I always, usually halfway into my recording of these, I think to myself, oh shit, I should have been looking at this timer. Because
The last time I looked at it, it was at 43, so that would have been 26 minutes ago.
Fair.
And that was like 26 minutes into the video too. So
Yeah. Well, I'm going to, at least here, we could always talk more in a second, but I'm going to end this particular video because I don't want to have every day of belonging be like an hour long. I'm having it be a minimum of 10 minutes, and I don't know. So I'm going to stop this one recording and possibly start a new one if you want to keep talking, which I would be certainly happy with.
okay, sounds good.